Okay, here's a nice forest of bamboo, good patch of it. Okay, and I want to just talk real quick about the uses. We're going to make a container out of this, boil water and cook food in. But these green ones like this, and this is large bamboo, okay? This stuff's, 30, 40 feet tall. You can find water, you may have seen this. These don't have water in them right now, but in the springtime and stuff, you can tap these, find where it doesn't sound hollow, chop into that and you can get fresh water, you can drink it straight. Or you can take a smaller one. This really is all pretty big, but if you take a smaller one that's more this diameter, you can bend it over and chop the top off, just like a water vine, and it'll drip water into a container for you. Okay, and what we're going to do is harvest some of these larger pieces, make a container. I'm going to make a hammock, and this has about 150 uses like a coconut. So we'll go ahead and get some of this. Just want to talk real quick about it, and you'll see some videos down the road with it. Alright, so we went and gathered up our bamboo here. Got a few different sizes. I got a lot more in this though, but we're going to work with just this today. And this is going to be on containers. Okay, and I told you I was going to come back with more videos, and I figured I'd start with something simple, and that is a bamboo container. We're going to look at a couple different ways to use it as a container. I try to stem out and do different things and use my own experience of what works, and I also try to get things that are good for the entire world. Okay, I don't want to just focus on one area, which is why I have videos in Florida and in Michigan and in Tennessee. But like things like this is, things that I'm able to get my hands on, because one, it's in Florida and Tennessee. You can find it in both them areas. Rarely in Florida, but it's here. And this is more like a jungle scenario, okay? In a jungle, this stuff's everywhere. So I show you these things to get your mind broadened on what you can use around the world, okay? Don't just learn one area. If you're like me, you like to learn multiple areas and multiple things and multiple skills, and you don't have the mindset that you know it all, because I don't. I have a mindset of I'm learning, not knowing. And that's why I have the videos I have. I like to show you as many different things and dirt time and experience as I can, and that's what this channel will be and always will be. I'd like to keep going on some container videos, and I'm just going to start simple with this one here. And what we're going to do is we're going to boil water. I'm going to make some tea and put the hot water in a separate container, and we're going to cook some food in our larger container here, okay? And I'm going to show you how to do that. So the first thing I want to do to get my food ready to be cooked is find a piece that's larger like this. Depending on what you're cooking, you can cook in a smaller one, you're just not going to be able to cook very much. But this one here, what I want to do is keep this section here intact and this little piece here intact. And what I want to do now is come down here and I want to take a little chunk out, okay? And I don't want to get into the section, this middle section here. I hit it a little bit and I don't want to do that, so I'm going to be a little more careful. Now bamboo is fairly easy to work with as well, so if you've never worked with bamboo, it's hard. I mean, it's tough wood. This stuff, you could break a branch with this thing, hitting it like a baseball bat. But when it comes to cutting it, if you have a good sharp knife, a big knife, or a saw, I've cut this stuff I cut down with a hacksaw. You don't need a real sharp saw. If you have a sharp saw, it works real well too. Hacksaw works fine, just like on coconuts. You can't cut a coconut with a saw like on the back of my knife here. You got to use a hacksaw. So that's why I used it on the bamboo. So all I'm doing here is trying to form something to hold this up over the fire, okay? Okay, you get something about like that right there. See how I took that out? Got about half of it gone. Now what I want to do is just cut a little bit of a V, just to make sure it ain't going to fall out. I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done. Okay, so I've got this cut out. You can see how I've got them little little areas here where we can just rest that nice and easy on a piece of wood over our fire. Okay, so now I want to come to this side, and I'm going to save this thing because I might be able to use this for something else as well. So I'm going to cut the same thing out over here. Okay, so I went and cut most of this end off here just to distribute the weight a little more evenly. But you can see I got the same thing going on over here. And I watch down the center to make sure I get this thing pretty even, because you don't want to have it lopsided or anything. So now we're going to take our center here, and we want to find exactly where we got these, lay it down and get a good eye, and we'll take our knife and just run it over the top to get our center mark. Okay, so there's my center mark, so I know that that's going to be towards the top. I hold it here like this, make sure, okay, that looks good. And now I'm going to simply just take a small layer. I don't want to take too much off. And I'm going to come over here and get this side started so I don't go into my notch here, which is this right here. I don't want to go past that because then it won't work as well. I could end up ruining my container. You don't want to waste time and energy. I have to make another one. Okay, so I got my hole started there. Now, I'm going to want it a little bigger than that, just so I can get my food in there. Okay, so I'm just going to simply take a little bit more off. Okay, so now we have a nice container to cook some food in. Okay, you can boil water in this too if you want it, but you usually want to do a different process when it comes to boiling water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put just a simple 4-peg system like the grate I showed you for Florida in there, and I'm going to rest this on top of the fire and get some food cooking. First we need to make something else, and that is going to be a steamer, because you can also make a steamer with these, almost like a pressure cooker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a small piece like this to get my rice cooking. I'm going to steam it first. Now what I want to do is I just want to take my multi-tool, my saw, and I'm going to cut a section off here like this. Okay, so I get a section cut off, and then I need to make a lid. Okay, so I get this piece here cut out. I just cut the lid off and I kept this section on the bottom intact. What I want to do is make a lid for this. And the way to do that is take a smaller piece from the same cut and find a piece that'll fit in there. And this is the smallest one I got. And sometimes it doesn't work because this is actually kind of a funny shape. This one's perfectly circle. But there's little notches in bamboo. When you get them to fit right, it actually is perfect, and it'll just slide right in there and make a perfect cork. So, since this one's not perfect, I'm just going to simply shave it down a little bit until it'll fit in there like a nice cork. I can make this one fit. But you want to keep that notch intact. I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. Now we got a cork that fits in there. It's good and snug too. So I'm going to cut this piece off here, just so, because all I need is the top. Alright, so what I have now, you can see I just shaved that down a little bit. You see that notch right there? There's one of those on all these sections like that, typically. And you can just take the notch, there's a notch here, okay, see that same bevel there on the bottom? You just slide that right in there, and you got yourself a lid, okay? And that'll help hold, if this was your canteen, it would hold water in there for you, or create a steamer, okay? And I believe you could probably make char cloth in this. I'll have to test that out. and I'll be able to tell you that soon. But right here we have a nice steamer, so I'm going to get my rice steaming. In goes the rice. Now we add our water. We'll fill it right up. Rice is a lot easier to cook when you pressure cook it, steam it. Cooks a lot faster for you. And I don't want to have to add it with my beans, because that's what we're having today, is rice and beans. Figured that was a good way to get a couple examples in for cooking, because in a steamer like this you could steam just about anything you think of. Pressure cook food, meat, snails, whatever. Definitely good for crabs and shrimp and crawfish and such. So keep that in mind. It'll work good for any of those matters. I'm just going to get all this built up. We don't want to torch this thing, but we do want it to cook, so I'm going to get this fire built up on this side. Get all them poles together, and I'm just going to lay it on here like so. Gotta keep that good and tight. Okay, now we want to boil some water. We kind of want to do something similar to what we're doing there with our steamer, but we're going to do it a little different. And what I'm going to do is just puncture a small hole in this, okay? I'm just going to shave a small amount off the top. Until we get an opening. Okay, so we have a nice small opening, about the size of my thumb, just my tip of my thumb. Alright, so that's all we want for that, because it'll boil our water quicker and we won't lose as much. So I have water on me, but you would just simply dunk this in a stream and get yourself some water, fill it up. I'm just going to fill her up like so. That's beautiful. It's filled right to the brim right now of water. Okay. See that in there? Dripping a little. Alright, so now I'm going to take and come over to our fire, and I'm going to place this right here to boil. Take this down just a little bit. You want to put it in a good secure spot where it ain't going to fall over. And we want to get this ready to boil. And it'll start sizzling in there and let you know when it's ready to boil. Okay? So now we got to build our platform and get this thing ready to use on our fire as well. Alright, so within no time at all, that literally took probably 5 to 7 minutes to get that boiling. Right now it's safe to drink the way it's boiling like that, and that's why you keep that hole so small, because then it saves you from having a lot of time wasted. So our water's ready, and I didn't have a lid big enough for my other container, which is going to be my drinking cup. So I just took a piece of this huge one, and I'm just going to set that on here, keep it nice and warm for me. I'll set it by the fire just to keep it nice and steamy while my tea steeps. And what I'm going to be using is just some mullein, some yarrow, and some red clover, all dried out from the summertime. I keep a good stash of different herbs on me. So I'm just going to take those, just got them in a little baggie here. Just going to dump them right in. Okay? It's all good stuff right there. I drink a lot of red clover. Yarrow, you don't want to drink too much of it. It's one of those that you have to use sparingly. Mullein, same thing. Both good for colds though. And it's pretty cold out right now. So now I'm going to come over here. I'm going to put my gloves on for this. I'll bring you down here. Okay, so I want to grab this off the fire, because I know my water's ready. And I'm simply going to pour it in without burning myself. Okay. Right there's to the top. Wonderful. So I'm just going to take my big guy here, place him over top of this, and I'll just set him right here for now by the fire. Just to keep it warm, let that tea steep up for 15 minutes or so. Okay, now I want to point something out here. And I'm going to go over videos on this. This stuff's great because it doesn't always burn all the way through, especially when it's green like that. So you want to focus on the green stuff for cooking. Also, if you notice, there's a real resiny looking material on here. If you want to make some strong pieces of bamboo and make it last for a long time without even putting any varnish on it, you know, because in the wild, say you need to make a spear, walking stick, frog gig, whatever the case may be, you simply put it over the fire, dry like it is, like dry this out, or even green, you could do it. And what that does is releases this resin, which is basically like varnish. Okay? It's really good for hardening these up and preserving them so they don't rot out. So that's just another little tip, and I'll go over that again, and we'll actually do that when I make a spear. I'm going to show you how to make a spear of bamboo and how to do a post hole digger with bamboo. So stay tuned for those ones as well. Let's take a look in there at our steamer. She's sizzling good. I don't know if you can hear that. This means our rice should be cooking up real nice right now. And we'll get ready to put it in the big pot and cook it all up together. Alright, so we've got this thing probably pretty steamed here. So I'm going to try to carefully grab this off the fire. It's hot. And I'm going to pull the lid off. Oh yeah. That rice, she's ready. That's all there is rice in there now. So what I'm going to do is try to not burn myself doing this because it is super hot. I'm just going to dump it in. A little bit more in there. Okay, that's that. We can just throw this on the fire. It's finished. Grab a piece of bamboo we had, and we'll stir up our rice and beans here. And now it's time to get this thing ready to cook. The rice being already steamed, it's pretty much already ready. Wonderful thing about bamboo, you can make so much stuff out of it. Like, I'm just going to make a simple spoon out of it. We're going to bring this over the fire, and we can manipulate this if we need to. Okay, I want it right over that heat. We can lower it, we can raise it if we got to. I'm pretty happy with where it is. I think she'll cook just fine. Okay, so I'm going to make a new spoon there. We got that going right above the fire. Rice is done, good and soft. Beans are in there with it. So now with this, we've got a good meal going. We got our tea over here steeping. And we boiled water, steamed the rice first, and now we got it all cooking in a big old crock pot. So I call this nature's crock pot. Bamboo is a wonderful thing to work with. You can make so many things out of it. It's just like coconut. It's got multiple uses, and it's very economical. Okay, you build things with this. You can make paper with this. You can do so much with bamboo. You can even eat it. The young shoots, perfectly edible. I eat them when I eat Chinese food. So we'll get this cooked up. We'll finish this video up, and that'll be your bamboo containers. Next we'll do a bamboo hammock. Alright, here's my little bamboo spoon that I just made. It's the wonderful thing about bamboo, you don't really need to make or bring too much with you. You just make it all out of it. I'd say this is done, so I'm ready to eat. Got my tea here. It's still good and steamy. It's been steeping for probably over 15 minutes now. Let's give it a good stir here. It's pretty good. Nothing better than a nice steamy tea in a container that took me all of 5 seconds to make. So we got that. Set that here. Got me a nice big old crock pot that turns into a dinner plate. Good spoon, good meal. It's cooked perfectly, so I can't complain right now. Bamboo makes the ultimate containers. Simple to make, very efficient. Boil water, cook food, steam, crayfish, crabs, lobster. Can do so much with bamboo. Okay, and this is just the container section of it. I've got plenty of bamboo at home. I showed you the bamboo fire saw. Make fire with it. There is another way to make fire with it, known as the fire thong. I'll try to get to that. But you also make spears and shelters and so much more with bamboo. It's just an efficient plant, and it's just grass. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you ever get your hands on some, go ahead and experiment, see what you can do with it. You know, use these as examples to broaden your ways of using it. I use it at home for multiple things. I make little containers for wrenches and tools and such, and you can use it for that as well. There's just so much you can use it for. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys on the next video. And like I told you, I'll be coming back with more container videos, so stay tuned with that if you want to learn more about containers and how to make them in the wild, how to boil water. I'm going to get to stone containers, which I feel is an important one. It's not effective for every area in the world. Florida doesn't have the most abundant stones in the world, but it does have other methods. Bamboo is something you can use in different parts of the world, so now you know, and we'll see you with the next one.